Right. Well, it's good to see everyone. It's been I guess, exciting week, I guess. And every year, it seems like every year, I try to go on a diet. And I seem like I start off well. I mean, I do well, and then during the middle of the time, during the middle of the time, it just kind of, I don't know, it just creeps up on me again. But I don't know if you noticed, but I lost some weight. They usually say that, they say usually when you lose weight, your face goes off first. So I feel like I lost 10 pounds off my face. I don't know, that's how I feel. But I got a long ways to go, but hopefully this time, I'll try to stick with it. It's a lifestyle, right? Lifestyle change, but it's tough. It's been tough because, when you're on a diet, you have to follow strict, rules and guidelines. And one of the things that I'm doing is following this meal plan, and every once in a while you get to have a steak. And so on Friday my family members came, all my family members, uncles and aunts, and we had steak. And I was outside grilling the steak, and I'm gonna tell you, the smell and the aroma and the juices that's flowing off the steak, it was like a pleasure unknown to mankind. My mouth was like watering. And I was just like fantasizing, like when I'm cutting the steak, and it's going to enter my mouth, and when I'm chewing it, just how wonderful that taste is going to be. And the steak was all cooked, and then we all got to the table, and I had my plate of steak, and sure enough, the excitement of the fulfillment, the satisfaction that I'm going to get eating the steak was overwhelming. And as I began to cut the steak, and I ate it all, when it hit my mouth, it was like fireworks, man. I just like, the taste buds went crazy. Because let me tell you, for about 2 weeks, I just been eating eggs and toast. So eating the steak was like, beautiful and wonderful. And sure enough, I was like eating it, at the end, I was full. And about a couple hours later, if someone wanted me to have another steak, I'd probably say no. Because I already fulfilled my satisfaction. I already fulfilled my enjoyment. Now that doesn't mean that next week I'm going to still find that enjoyment again, right? Because I'm still back on my plan. But the fact is that pleasure of that steak, the enjoyment of that steak gave me a satisfaction for about a good 10 minutes. But then after that, it went away. It didn't really help me. It didn't make my day better. I mean, for a few seconds it did. But, I still had to go through my day. I still had to go through my troubles. I still had to go through my daily routine. And knowing the fact that right before me was my diet again starting on Saturday, I had to see, oh man, back to my eggs. So it really didn't. It gave me satisfaction, but it didn't give me an enjoyment, fulfillment for, a good part of my life. And that's what I want to talk to you today. Well, that's what Solomon wants to talk to us today. Last week we talked about Ecclesiastes chapter 1. And basically it was an intro, and Solomon basically was saying that everything under the sun was meaningless. And yes, it was a very depressing sermon, but I got news for you today. It's part 2 of depressing message. Until we get a little further into Ecclesiastes. But we are just going to have to deal with it. We're just going to have to suck it up and say, okay, let's listen to what Solomon has to say. Because what he says, what he talked about in chapter 1, as he was talking about everything under the sun, chapter 2 basically tells us what he actually did, what he actually experienced, why he was able to write chapter 1. Right? The only reason why he was able to write chapter 1 is because what he did in chapter 2. To come with that conclusion that everything under the sun is meaningless. That everything under the sun is not worth anything. So this is where he begins. He basically wants to tell us that there's nothing, no possession, no relationship, nothing under the sun will bring us delight. Will nothing bring us satisfaction. So we look at here in chapter 2, and basically as I was looking at this, is probably the most popular idea, the most popular theory, or what philosophers will call it, the term hedonism. Hedonism. And hedonism basically means the pursuit of pleasure. The pursuit of pleasure. If you think for a moment, this is a very popular idea today. We're all out to seek happiness. We're all out to seek some type of pleasure. In fact, there's a movie a couple years ago, The Pursuit of Happiness. Right? And so you haven't seen that movie, Pursuit of Happiness. That's a good movie. You know, it's a good movie. It's a true story, right? It's based on a true story. And what basically was is a pursuit of being successful, trying to make a living. Well, no better person to tell us about the pursuit of pleasures than Solomon. And this is what he basically breaks down. All the pleasures that he encountered while he was the king. Not just the king, but he encountered pleasures being the richest man in the world, the smartest man in the world. Everything that you could think of, he had it all. So let's look at the first pursuit that he encountered. First thing that we can look at, and it's very evident today, that these are some of the pursuits that we try to substitute of successfulness or happiness in our lives. And the first pursuit is the pursuit of entertainment. Right, pursuit of entertainment. Look at Ecclesiastes chapter 2, verse 1 and 3. Look at what Solomon says. He begins in chapter 2 by basically saying, I said in my heart, come now, I will test you with pleasures. Enjoy yourselves. All right, here's the thing. Solomon had it all. All right. As I look at today's society, the pleasure of entertainment is so big now. All right? There's so many things that are going on to make us feel entertained. Okay, when I grew up, I was born in the 70s. And then most of my childhood was in the 80s. So I'm an 80s man. I love 80s music. Yeah, I love 80s music. Yeah, there you go, another one right here. Right? 80s was a special time, because that's my culture. Right? You know, that's when breakdancing was beginning to be popular, and all the nice, weird fashion, high bangs, and all those different things that were coming to fashion, right? But if I compare the entertainment back then to right now, man, we live in the Stone Age back in the 80s compared to what we can do now. I mean, think for a moment the entertainment that we have today. I mean, things like, you know, there's things like airsofting. I mean, I never was introduced to airsofting until a couple years ago. The Andrew's over there, yeah, airsofting. I'm thinking about bungee jumping. I'm talking about extreme stuff, like extreme X Factor stuff, like, you know, snowboarding. And snowboarding wasn't even invented until like late 90s, right? Maybe. But is it earlier than that? Because I don't remember snowboarding. I remember snowboarding the first time when I was in college. And I remember it was 1992, or 93. We went to skiing, and I saw these long skateboarding, and I was like, "What is this?" They're like, "This is a new thing called snowboarding." And I was like, "Oh wow, how many were born in 1992?" Anyways, there you go. I was in college. Wow. Okay. So anyways, I remember I'm a adventurous guy, and I was like, let me try this, man. They're like, okay. And some of you guys know skiing and me don't really mix. Every time I went skiing, there was a disaster. So I decided to try it, and I did it. Now, at first, man, I was really getting it. I was like, oh man, that's crazy, this is awesome. I even went as far as jumping a hill, and I tried to do a flip, but it didn't end well. I landed on my neck, like a neck strain. But I got back up, and then what happened was, as I was going down, because I'm still learning, I didn't know how to really turn right or stop myself. So I remember going, this kid just cut in front of me, and then I rolled down the hill, and I basically got a concussion, and I woke up and I was in the emergency room. And it's one of those concussions where you feel like you want to throw up. So you know that's really bad. I mean, I had a bad headache for 4 or 5 hours. But anyways, I'm just kind of going back to entertainment, snowboarding, and these days everybody's upping the bar. like Circus du Soleil, Cirque du Soleil, whatever.
Cirque du Soleil.
Cirque du Soleil, thank you. Right? One of the things that my kids and I like to watch, and my wife, is America's Got Talent. I mean, the talent out there is crazy, crazy. I mean, the bar is so high up for entertainment. And the movies, the movie industry, right? Marvel movies. I mean, I just saw Ant-Man a week ago. Ant-Man, right? At first, initial point, Ant-Man, a man shrinking. You know, it doesn't really seem appealing, you know? I mean, I saw Honey, I Shrunk Your Kids. You know, that's the only, you guys get the picture, right? Like, I was like, how can a movie make a person this exciting? And then I went to watch it, and it was great. It was good. It was entertaining because it was comic, it was action, and then all those different, you see, what I'm trying to get at is that the entertainment today has gotten so big, it's part of everyday life. And it's dangerous because this is what Solomon is saying, is that I set out to find entertainment. I was so rich, I had everything in my power. I wanted to find some type of happiness through entertainment. So I pursued for entertainment. And look at what Solomon did. It's not here, but this is kind of give you an idea. Let's be reminded, Solomon was the king. He was the richest king. He had everything he wanted. I mean, every night was a day of stand-up comics that came. Every night was a lavish feast with wine flowing like water. Everything that you can imagine, every day at his palace was going on. He had a party every single day. And how do we know this? Because just the food that Solomon provided a day was crazy. If you look at 1 Kings chapter 4, verse 22 and 23, it tells you per day what Solomon prepared for food for his people that lived in his royal palace. For instance, it says that Solomon's provision for one day was 30 cores of fine flour. That's about 10 bushels of flour. 60 cores of meal, meaning different types of various grains. 10 fattened oxen. 20 pasture-fed cattle. Talking about organic, that's what you got, right? 20 pasture-fed cattle, right? 100 sheep. Besides all this, you had gazelles, roebucks, and fatted fowl, like chickens, ducks, and all kinds of birds. That was per day. Historians and people were kind of generating about how much people that actually fed. It was estimated per day that Solomon fed between 10 to 20,000 people a day. He had a party every single day. He said, let's bring all the stuff. Let's bring all my livestock. I got plenty of it. Let's kill 100 sheep a day. Let's kill 10 oxen. Let's have a party. Because I want to I want to see entertainment. I want to see the best comics. I want to see the best band. I want to see the best musical that is there to offer me. Because I'm trying to find it. And that's the thing for us too. We tend to use entertainment to satisfy us. We want to have entertainment satisfy us. You know, we want to go see a good movie. We want to see and hear a good sermon. We want to do this. Something, as long as it's entertaining, I won't feel satisfied. But Solomon is saying, that's not it. I searched and I experienced entertainment, but it fell short. No amount of entertainment under the sun will give you that satisfaction. Basically what Solomon's saying. The second thing that Solomon said that he was in pursuit of. So first he was in pursuit of pleasures of entertainment. The second pursuit of pleasure was, I call it the American dream. Right? The American dream. When I was growing up in Korea, a lot of our friends said, oh man, if only I can have the American dream. Now, I looked up at the dictionary of American Dream, or on the internet, and basically the idea of American Dream was to be successful. That you work hard and then you become successful. Well, my idea of American Dream while I was in Korea was, one day my American dream is that I'll be able to buy land, build a home, have a family, have a nice job, have 2 cars, and most importantly, a dog. So I always felt that was the American dream. And if you think about it, that's still the kind of idea of what the American dream is. And maybe that's what some of your idea is, which is, let me kind of rephrase here. Everything that Solomon is telling us is not for us to not to pursue. All right? He doesn't say, okay, all this of meaning says don't do it. He's not saying that. I'll tell you the reason why he's saying this at the end. But what I'm saying is that a lot of us, I know for a fact, a lot of us, we are saving our money. We're trying our best to one day build a home and build a house where we want to live somewhere. We want to be at a certain place where this is what my goal is. This is where I want to be. But even that does not bring you satisfaction. It might bring you a short satisfaction, but it will eventually fade away. Think for a moment, like when you buy your first car. Not your fart. When you bought your first car. Right? Imagine when you bought your first car. How many of you took good care of it? Maybe some of you still take good care of it. But I remember the first few weeks of me buying my car. I would wash it, I would take care of it. But eventually, oh well, it got old. Right? And I just kind of used it, whatever. It's the same thing. I remember when we first bought our home. Like, wow, this home is nice. Wow, this is crazy. And now, like, after 8 years of living in my town, I'm like, man, this is small. My kids are outgrowing. I mean, in fact, it is kind of get small. Having to do in Adelaide, and it's kind of too, what do you call it, claustrophobic. Anyway, so, but maybe you had that dream of getting a house, or getting that you think that that's going to bring an enjoyment. Like when you get married, like, oh, you want to buy a home, and you want to build a home, you want to build a family. Listen to what Solomon said in verses 4 through 6. He says, I made great works. I built houses and planted vineyards for myself. I made myself gardens and parks and planted them all kinds of fruit trees. I made myself pools from which to water the forest of growing trees. You see, Solomon even built his home. You know how long it took to build his home? Commentator said it took his house to be built 14 years to build his home. It's crazy. It's huge. It's amazing. Not just built his home, but he took 7 years to build a temple. And not just that, he built pools. And that pools were able to fulfill the water system throughout Jerusalem. And even today, if you go to southwest of Jerusalem, where very seldomly tourists visit, but there exists today the very dryness. I mean, it's all like dried out, but you can see the very imprint of where Solomon's pools were. Pools, they call it pools of Solomon. And that's where he planted his trees and fruit trees and everything. And he planted all those things. He built his house for 14 years, continuously adding on to his house. Isn't that something that we do sometimes too? When we buy the home, we do home improvements and build upon, build upon, build upon, build upon. But even that, Solomon says that it did not satisfy his heart. Maybe some of us here are in the pleasure of a good life. Maybe I don't need to buy a home, or I just want to have a good life. Listen to what Solomon says in Ecclesiastes 2, verse 7 through 8. Solomon says, I bought male and female slaves and had slaves who were born in my house. I had also great possessions of herds and flocks, more than any who had been before me in Jerusalem. I also gathered myself silver and gold and the treasure of kings and provinces. I got singers, both men and women, and many concubines, man's delight. Solomon had it all. I mean, he had people wait on him. He had people serving him. He had people will definitely do everything that he would say. I mean, not only that, but he had people that would walk in every day to sing him songs, his own serenade. I mean, his own little band that he wanted. He had. Not just that, he had men and women coming in and out, and basically had all the money that he could ask and wished for. You know, a lot of us, we have bank accounts, we have saving accounts, we have all these different things. Look at what Solomon said. He stored up treasures of silver and gold. I mean, it's basically like he had, you know, a bank account. He had all those things. He had all the money in his savings account. He had all the things that the world can offer. Not only that, he even goes as far as saying, listen, I even had sexual satisfaction because I had women walking around. Look at this. It's very interesting. He says right here that he had many concubines, man's delight. You know what that basically means? Was that Solomon basically had like a Playboy mansion. You know, the concept of Playboy mansion. little bunny girls weren't walking around. That's what basically Solomon had. And so he even saw all that, even he experienced all that. He said, none of that satisfied me. It didn't give me pleasure. And then he also says in Ecclesiastes chapter 2, verse 9 through 11, it says here, so I became great and surpassed all who were before me in Jerusalem. He had the pleasure of fame. He had the pleasure of fame. This is very interesting because we live in a society today that's all about fame. How do we know? Look at YouTube. How many people want to get famous? How many of us want to get known? How many of us want to post a lot? I mean, I'm guilty of it too. Like I want like my kids to be known on Facebook, and I'll post it, and I'll post things on YouTube, hoping people, it'll go viral, But that's just the sinfulness. That's just the nature of human. That we want to become famous. We want to be known for something. We want to leave a legacy. We want to do something in this world. But Solomon had that. He was well known throughout the whole Jerusalem. He was known for having this crazy party. He was known to have everything that you can wish for. Oh, let's just go to Solomon's house and we get a free meal. Yeah, let's go. And he provided for everything. And people knew Solomon. And he was famous. Yet even fame didn't bring satisfaction to him. But I want you to understand something real quickly. This is where we kind of close down, is this. Look at the very next set of sentences. It says here, so I became great and surpassed all who were before me in Jerusalem. Also my wisdom remained with me, and whatever my eyes desired, I did not keep from them. I kept my heart from no pleasure, for my heart found no pleasure in any of my toils. And this was my reward for all my toil. Then I considered all that my hands had done, and the toil I spent in doing it. And behold, all was emptiness and striving after wind, and there was nothing to be gained under the sun. What is he saying? What Solomon was basically saying is that he didn't really, he did all these things, but he wasn't wildly into it. He was wise enough to stand back and just observe. That's what he was doing. He was observing that what kind of pleasures would bring satisfaction to men. But he wasn't engaged in all of those things. He was wise enough to see and observe, and he came to a conclusion. So basically, the conclusion that he comes is the last few verses. So the conclusion basically tells us it's not someone that felt with guiltiness after going all those pleasures. It's like, okay, now let me go back to God. I did all this, and okay, I understand. No, this is a man that was wisdom. He knew what's going on. He wasn't sucked up into all these things. He stood back, did all these things to see what life can bring, what pleasures can bring satisfaction to man. So he said nothing could bring those satisfaction. Nothing could bring it except for these things. And this is what he says here. And what we as a Christian must understand is to find pleasure in God. It's to find pleasure in God. Look at verses 26. Look at verses 24 through 26. Listen to what it says. It says, there's nothing better for a person that he should eat or drink and find enjoyment in his toil. This also I saw is from the hand of God. So here's Solomon saying, listen, I wasn't involved in all this thing. I didn't get drunk every night. I didn't have sexual parties with every night. I didn't engage myself. I wasn't prideful in my fame. I wasn't doing all these things. I sat back and saw these things. And you know what I noticed? You know what reminded me of? You know what my wisdom tells me? Is that all this enjoyment, everything that's in this world, everything that you have, even today, the entertainment, the desires to have goals of a better home or home improvement, whatever. All those things that we can enjoy because God gave it to us to enjoy. But we have to be aware of who's giving it to us. Of who is giving it to us. And this is what Solomon says here, is that for to one who pleases God and has given wisdom and joy, and knowledge and joy, that's what he says in verse 26, is for to those who pleases God, he has given wisdom and knowledge. The entertainment, the joy, everything that we have, the satisfaction, everything that pleases us, we have to have a mindset that has been given by the hand of God. Everything has been given the hand of God. So every enjoyment that you have, every relationship, spouse, or girlfriend, boyfriend, job, career, family, kids, whatever you have in your little world that you're in, it is all given by the hand of God. And you will notice this in chapter 3 because everything has an order. You know, chapter 3 is everything has an order. There's a season for everything. And it basically teaches that God is in control of your life. So everything that you have, everything that you own, everything that's about you is controlled by God. And this is what Solomon is saying, is that, listen, I'm not saying that all these things are wrong, but you have to have a mindset and understanding of who's giving it to you, who's allowing you to experience this. So basically every pain, every sorrow, every happiness, every grief, every disappointment, every gladness, every happiness, every joy, everything that you can think of is a gift of God. Yes, I said it. Pain, sorrow, grief is also a gift from God. Everything is a gift from God. We must understand that enjoyment, pleasures, do not come from things or from people. It can never satisfy you. If you are in this world, if you're living, and that's what you seek to find enjoyment in someone. You seek to find enjoyment in a church. You seek to find something to make you feel better. It's going to be like that steak I said in the beginning. It's going to taste good in the beginning, but that taste goes away. And soon you'll be looking for another piece of steak. Only God is the everlasting, long-lasting satisfaction that you and I need. And we must realize that. We must understand that all these things that we have comes from God. And that's what Solomon is saying. Solomon is saying in chapter 2, take it from me, guys. I've gone through this whole thing. I experienced it. I experienced it firsthand. And this is what I realized. That under this sun, nothing compares to God. Nothing compares to God. You know, soon some of you will, find a family. You'll start your own family. You'll have your kids. You'll have your job. You'll have your, different things. And sooner or later, you'll find out that everything seems so habitual. Everything is just like the same thing over and over and over and over. And then you'll try to seek some type of happiness. I think that's why a lot of people in marriage couples, end up getting divorces because affairs. It happens a lot because they're seeking, they're searching, they're finding some satisfaction. That's why a lot of people cheat or quit their jobs or do a lot of things because they don't find a satisfaction. That's why a lot of people move churches because they don't find satisfaction in the church. But I'm telling you right now, if that's what you're seeking, you're going to just keep on moving. You're never going to be in one place. You're never going to be settled. You'll always be moving. You're going to be a wanderer, like those in the Israelites who wandered the desert for 40 years. I met somebody the other day. Some of you guys know that I'm the principal, and I've been having a lot of meetings with parents and having a lot of meetings with other people. And I met a guy that's going to do our yearbook, Life Touch. Older man. And I was talking to him, and I was like, hey, and he's like, yeah, I've been with the school. I've been doing the yearbook for your school since 1984. I'm like, whoa, 1984? Wow. So how long have you been in the business of Life Touch? That's the company, Life Touch. I've been working for Life Touch for 34 years. I said, wow, 34 years? He said, yeah. And I said, man, you don't find that anymore. You don't find people who are loyal to a company, or loyal to a church, or loyal to anywhere. People stay for 2 or 3 years and they have to move on. And yeah. People don't understand. The more you stay with one company, the more benefits that you get. That's so true in life. The more you stick with something, the more you grind it out with someone together, the more you stay with it, the more later on you will see what you sow. That's biblical. That's biblical. And I hope you understand, and understand and take away today's message and realize that none of these things are bad. We can find entertainment. We can find the pleasures of trying to get a new home. We can find the pleasure of different things. But making sure that you understand who is the provider. Who's the provider. Let us pray.